Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com, and welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So it was an interesting day. We came in not really knowing what to expect in our post-inauguration world, where you had marches and riots and all the opinions about crashes and pullbacks and not ending well, and so we had to figure out what was next. Can the market absorb weakness? Can we hold this upper range? And are there going to be any spots of relative strength and things to watch? Okay, so all in all, the morning we did get hit and we went below Friday's lows in the S&P cash, but that 2254 to 2257 area that is the more important area and the bigger area held if you're swing trading, the spiders and, the indices, besides, the stocks are on the move that we're going to get into. So let's just go right to the chart here of the S&P cash. All in all, still very symmetrical. Okay, here is your, pre-break snapback, the break above the descending trend line. Here is your pre-election sell-off, your snapback, and then this is when Donald Trump was elected. And now, ever since then, we've been, in this somewhat of a uptrend, and it's getting tight all over again. So the question is, which way does it break? Today, it looked a little bit like we were going to break to the downside, or at least come in. So if you're very active, you might have sold when it went below 2265, or you might have sold when it went below 2258. But all in all, it held the 2254 to 58 area. The low is right there. So anyway, one of the clues that we weren't going to fall apart was that during this pullback in the overall S&P, high beta tech was very strong. Okay, so what do we call that? We call that relative strength. Right around 10:30, 11 o'clock, when the S&P was making lows on the VTF, which is the virtual trading floor, which people pay for to see our trades live when we take them off and put them on. I was like, I'm like, I wonder who's going to win this battle today. They're selling, the S&P, and, Google's still up, $5, and Amazon's up $4, and Facebook's up $1 and change. Bob is strong. Apple's not falling apart. I'm like, either the S&P is going to drag that down, or all of a sudden S&P bounces, these things are going to take off. And all in all, a lot of nice trades for those in the VTF. We talked about the strength in Google. I tweeted about it also in the what's it called? My free Twitter. Anyway, this was a nice tight pattern. We've talked about, can Google hold this 820, 823 area? It did, and then finally today busted above. When I talk pivots, this was 834.65, and then this was your pivot high of 838 or 839, and it's through both. So the good book would say you should get some follow through tomorrow to the upside. I am long some calls. I am long the 840s, okay, and I'm going to see where they are come earnings. Earnings aren't until Thursday. Who knows? Maybe this goes up another day or so before, so then we'll figure out if we turn that into a call spread. But all in all, a nice trade. In the morning wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but anyway, closed near the highs of the day, at all-time highs, something, that's very constructive versus, calling a top on. But anyway, we'll see what happens next. Guys asked me what I did with my BABA. Well, BABA's been very strong. Here is your descending trend line that it broke above. This is when it showed commitment to it. And then you had this nice, tight pattern here. So I bought the 95 calls for earnings, thinking, okay, I don't know if it's gonna go before or after. Bought them for like $1.50. And then today, I did turn them into a call spread by selling the 100. So it's a free play, but it's still going to be, 2.5 times. Thank goodness they gave us this trade in the stocks. I came in with options and the stock today. Showed relative strength. Got through all these pivots, closed strong. But, what I don't do is I don't take stock into earnings. I take options, because what happens if it was bad? It's a flip of a coin. If you're a trader, it could put a big damper on your month. If you're an investor and you bought here or you've been in for a while, it's different. But if you trade for alpha and cash flow, you have to have a system. My system says, even though this looks great, I'm not taking the stock, but I have the options that, are going to do pretty well if it delivers. And who knows? Maybe you can get an intraday trade after the report in the morning. Another stock that was showing strength all morning was Amazon. Amazon's been very good to us. Why has it been good to us? Because, I talked to you guys about buying calls here. Bought calls there, also had the stock for that 2-day move. Then what did it do? It gave you a nice bull flag, okay? And then on this move, okay, we sold a portion of the options I had for earnings, and I know earnings aren't until next week. So what I did also is I actually screwed that up because I bought them for this Friday. So today I switched, okay, from this Friday's, what I had, the 780s, I turned them into 820s, okay, for the Friday thereafter. And I'm also in the stock, and Same way, you could have been a buyer here and then a buyer when it crossed above 801.77. Maybe you could be a buyer now versus this 803.50. And maybe if Bob was good and things continue, you could add here above 821.65. All-time highs are all the way up here, and we have 2 weeks. So it might get there beforehand, kind of like what Google did. Some of you guys were asking me about JD because I had this in the recap in the morning note a while ago. I'm not in JD, but it does look good. Some of you guys have bought it when it cleared this spot. It was definitely a little choppy, but it's it's moving along. Next spot could be up here. Just trim and trail it, whatever you want to do. And the test, what did it do? Someone was pointing to that today. Another nice move. We put this on my Redler All Access note, which comes out every day at 8:30 when it cleared the 50-day. Well, it cleared the 50-day and then went sideways and now gave you a little bit of follow through to the upside. So lots of things moving around if you don't just focus on the negatives of what could happen with a new administration. I'm not going to get into that. Then we talked about the banks, whether or not they could hold higher. Not looking the best, but if you sold on this red dog reversal up here or when it broke the 8 and 21 day, maybe you're buying a little bit back versus the 50-day. I bought a little JP Morgan. Not the best prices today, but it's holding this little spot. Here was your topping tail to sell, and now if the market's going to be any good, should hold this 50-day, and then who knows, maybe you can even add if it gets above this. But we'll see what happens here with the banks. I just didn't want to go on Goldman because I didn't want as big a beta because I have a lot of things going on in high beta tech land. Netflix, kind of, a little unfortunate that didn't have more strength to try to. It's just drifting. Earnings are out of the way. People are looking at other things right now. So for tomorrow, this is your pivot. Whatever this low is, maybe we get a red dog reversal around it tomorrow, maybe not. 8 days moving up. It was a little bit extended into earnings, so it's come back in since. So we'll see if there's a viable red dog reversal like that, and then maybe, who knows, at some point builds a flag and goes. But until then, it's not the focus because it already had its earnings. It already squeezed the shorts. It's already made a new, all-time high. So money moves on when there are unknowns. And right now, people are speculating how good Google is going to be, and Google just broke out. So you can't be short Google into something like this. What happens if they deliver on earnings? The stock's going to be $900. So anyway, same thing with Amazon. If Google can make new all-time highs, people who are short Amazon will say, oh my goodness, maybe Amazon goes through all-time highs before earnings. So anyway, that's the thought process behind it. Oil was a little weaker. The small caps are a little weaker. The IBBs, after all the rhetoric and everything, it's still just drifting lower. I'm not involved. It's below the moving average, so we'll see what's there next. And that's about it. Let's hope that BABA delivers in the morning. If it doesn't, you know what? The calls that we turned into a spread are paid for. The reason why we take calls is because risk is premium paid. You don't just go with unlimited risk. Other high beta names were acting well today while the market was lower. Okay, that's what helped pull the S&P back up. So if you're long some of those stocks that had relative strength, the good book says take a little bit. Just take what you're comfortable, just in case something comes from the Twitter machine. And let's just keep moving forward with the optimistic glass half full cup versus empty. Life's way too short. Thank you for coming to the seminar. It was great meeting a lot of you guys. I watched the morning call that are part of Redler All Access, that are members of the VTF. It's so cool to put faces with names and personalities, and we'll be doing that a few times a year in different spots all around the country. Have a good night.